I want to share some advice on nursing your kids' confidence. As a parent, it's important that we realize that confidence it will grow on its own, but I think if we learn to nurse it, you can develop their confidence much more quickly. We have one of our wrestling dads who's doing a great job of this. His kid's making big strides, and the dad's, I think his normal instinct is to always point out what his athlete or his son is doing wrong, instead of looking for opportunities where his son's doing the right things. So, obviously if you only critique your wrestler when he's wrestling someone better than him in practice, you're only going to see a lot of bad things. But try to watch and critique when your wrestler is wrestling someone that they're beating, someone that they're better than. And just really ignore the matches when they're not winning. Those kids are better. They're going to beat them eventually. This is like if you can only do 50 push-ups, if you keep pushing forward and you get excited about the 50 that you can do, one day you'll do 100. Don't try to do 100 when you really can't, and then nitpick yourself for not doing it. So look for opportunities to praise them for success. And you do this when they're wrestling kids that they can beat. And then they start tapping into the kids who are better than them. They start beating them. Or maybe they lose still, but it's a 2-point match when it used to be a 10-point match. A lot of praise. So look for opportunities where they're doing the right thing and praise that. And your kids are going to be excited. Then when they look over in the corner at you, they're not going to see someone who, every time they look at you in the corner, whether it's practice or a match, they always see someone who is negative. They're going to always look over there and say, this is where I look when I need some positive feedback. And it's always going to be positive. And I do mean you should ignore the matches that they're losing and the takedowns that they're losing. Now, obviously, we might start critiquing those a little bit as your kids open up about those matches and they start to kind of take the bull by the horns. And then it's not always just about you trying to, like you're getting behind your kids and you're trying to push them and drive them to the top. You're letting them take off sprinting and you're just kind of running behind them, catching up and nudging them along the way. And as you start to see them say, hey, I almost scored on Jonathan, but maybe they're still getting beat by 10 points. Now that's an icebreaker. They broke the ice, and then, those better kids are fair game. But if you really focus on developing them and look for opportunities when they're doing things really well and you constantly praise those, I think that's the key. I know years ago somebody kind of was nitpicking me there. They called me the Oprah Winfrey of wrestling. And I took it as a compliment. They were trying to cut me down. But, I know what I know, right? My son struggled for a few years in wrestling, and then, he had Division I schools after him by the time he was a senior, because I implemented these same tactics. As an athlete, wrestling came pretty easy to me, and my brother, he won the national title at every level, including the U.S. Open, and, I was an All-American Oklahoma State on a few, ranked number 1 in the nation, junior and senior year. Had the death penalty our junior year, so I couldn't compete. And then, my senior year, I sort of kind of probably blew a good opportunity to win the national title. But still had a great career, and now I have a thriving wrestling business. And, we got camp right now. This is our bunkhouse, our rec room, rather. Kids come in here and hang out. There's a camp store and concession. Big screen TV over here. We got competition camp going right now. So there was a 9,000 square foot building, and this here is our 7,000 square foot. There's a rec room and obviously a bunkhouse area in here. So this is what it looks like. We have coaches' rooms here. Always supervising. There's another room over here. That's the same. Lights are off over here. Kids are at practice. So we have 2 sides, 120 beds, 17,000 square foot when you consider the kitchen area and so forth. But I think the reason people like our camps is because we do help them with their confidence and teach them how to think and organize their thoughts. How to create mental momentum for themselves. And I think that as a parent or a coach, we need to make sure that we're not the ones screwing it all up, right? If you got nitpicked by your husband nonstop, or your wife nitpicks you nonstop, that would be a miserable thing. But if we start looking for, complimenting you on how you look, or the great job you do with the house or your career, or thanks for taking us on vacation. Sure, you can nitpick the old man easy, right? There's tons of things to nitpick the old man about. You can probably nitpick your wife too, but no one wants that, right? Now, anybody does anything big time wrong, we need to implement or interfere. If your wrestler's acting like a clown in practice, they can stay after practice and do 300 push-ups. They'll stop it, right? I'm not saying ignore bad behavior. I'm just saying don't nitpick the kids like it's a hobby or something. Instead, take it as a goal to say, how can I have the most confident wrestler or son or daughter, in the whole state? And I can say, that's a personal goal that I have, is to have the most confident athletes. And it really is, honestly. But as a parent, that's maybe something you can adopt as well. But just wanted to share that with you. Good luck to everyone. You can check us out at purlerwrestling.com.